Hey everyone, this is Coach Gethin from CoachGethin.com, and today we're going to address the glute bridge. Now, when doing the glute bridge, people make two common mistakes. Number one, they don't move their pelvis, and number two, they don't contract their glutes properly. So, when you're doing a glute bridge, it's not like a deadlift where you try to keep a straight posture right the way throughout. So a lot of people do the glute bridge like this. But a proper glute bridge should be done with good pelvic positioning. So think of your pelvis like a bucket of water. If you tilt your pelvis forward, water will pour out the front. That's called anterior pelvic tilt. If you tilt the pelvis backwards, water will pour out the back. That's called posterior pelvic tilt. So, when you're at the bottom, you want something called an anterior pelvic tilt. Now, you may be doing this exercise on a box, but it doesn't matter if you're doing it on the box or if you're doing it on the floor. Nevertheless, you want to try to go to an anterior pelvic tilt, which is essentially emulating a duck ass, as they call it. From here, you go to a posterior pelvic tilt as you lift up. So now I'm trying to weak my butt under. So from here, anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt. So what's your difference? This is wrong. This is correct. Moving the pelvis in with the action. So that's the first thing to consider when doing a glute bridge. The second thing to consider is how the glutes contract. Now, the glutes actually insert on the outer part of your thigh, and they come inwards, guess what? Towards the crack of your butt. That's the way the muscle fibers run. So when you're at the top of the motion, you need to try to squeeze your glutes together. Okay? Don't just lift your hips up, squeeze your glutes together. So from here, when you get to the top, you're up and you try to point these inwards and squeeze them together for full contraction. Now, when you're doing a glute bridge, there's two options. You can do it dynamically, as I've been demonstrated, or you can do a static one. So I'm going to get to the top, and then hold it here. Now, on the floor, I can make it more difficult by changing my arm position from here, or maybe put my arms overhead, and that's the most advanced version from the floor. I could put a barbell across my lap or a resistance band. There's many ways of adding tension to the glute bridge. Now, the other thing to consider is, what are you going to do if one side is stronger than the other? So what you could do then is move one foot a bit further in front. So consider where the knuckles of your toes are on one foot. You put your heel of the opposite foot in line with that. Okay? So let's say, for example, that my left side is my weakest side, and what I've decided to do then is put my right foot a little bit further out in front so that my left leg can get a little bit more work. So I'm going up here in a staggered stance. Now, when you're doing this, always start on your weaker side and allow your stronger side to only mimic the repetitions or the resistance of the weaker side, because you don't want an asymmetry. That can lead to injury. Now, the other thing we could do, and I recommend programming single leg glute bridges now and then, is to lift one leg up, and from here, push with just one leg and down. And that right there is a single leg glute bridge. Now, another thing that I need to point out is that when you're doing glute bridges, foot positioning matters massively. So, these are my hamstrings, the back of my thigh. When my leg is straighter, my hamstrings are a lot more active. When my leg is bent, my hamstrings are not so active. So if I really want to activate my glutes, I need to bend my knees. As well as that, it's a good idea to try to take a wider stance when trying to train your glutes as well. That will make them a lot more active. So I'm actually taking a wide stance with my heels tucked quite closely into my backside in order to do these glute bridges. So as opposed to being here, when my legs are straighter, I want them in here, nice and tight. And that's going to make for a very good glute bridge.